Good afternoon and welcome to Two-A-Day on your Packer Link Up. Today is Thursday, August 14th, and you're watching the 5 o'clock edition. Today's top story, A.J. Hawk has a chest injury and will not be available this week. According to Coach McCarthy, he won't be available this week. He will not play against the 49ers. Coach McCarthy said he got the chest injury breaking up a pass from Carson Palmer to Ben Utecht, the tight end. He broke up the pass, went down, but he did play, I believe, the rest of the game. And so the answer to the question, when will A.J. Hawk again be available? Well, Mike McCarthy wouldn't answer that question or couldn't answer that question. And so we have to believe that there's something fairly serious about that since he's not practicing and he's already been removed from the game time roster. So we'll keep an eye on that. Of course, that's a big hit to our linebacking core. Fortunately, this will also give Brandon Chiller some extra time. He's going to take over for A.J. and probably will play in the preseason game against the 49ers at that weak side linebacker spot, even though that's not the particular position that he played in at St. Louis. But it will be some extra playing time for him, some extra gelling time with the core, and hopefully then A.J. will be back to full strength shortly. Brandon was quoted to say, hey, this is not the way that anybody wants to get out of the field by having somebody injured. Said A.J.'s a tough guy, I'm sure he'll be back, but he wants to get on the field and help the team out as he can. Other injury news, McCarthy filled us in that Ryan Grant will not be available for the Saturday game, may not be available, doesn't sound promising. Said he's still going through rehab for the hamstring. So sounds like they're just being smart with him, which would be fine with me. Although I must say I am looking forward to getting Ryan Grant back on the field and seeing if he's going to be in the same kind of form as he was last year. Ruvel Martin suffered a mild concussion and a jaw contusion in the preseason game, and he will be close for Saturday. He may make it, but he may not. So again, probably not a serious injury, something he's just got to work through. Got to go through the checks now, of course, with the concussion and let that contusion heal. Should be fine though. McCarthy said of the offensive line, he had a lot of discussion on the offensive line now with the performance in the preseason game and the sort of maneuvering and remaneuvering and retooling with Scott Wells out at center and with some of the performances not being necessarily up to par. He said Josh Sitton did some good things. Said they kind of got him in at right guard and Allen at left guard, and then the other guys can kind of move around. Coach McCarthy was asked, what kind of timeline are you looking at to set the best five and have them out on the field? And he said, ideally, you'd like to have it yesterday, but those questions will be answered based on how they play. It's competition. That's all it really is. Schedule changes. McCarthy was asked about these schedule challenges, rather, having a Monday night game coming back on a Saturday night game, then going with a Friday night game. He said not getting the 7-day run in between games is a challenge, but what they've done to alleviate some of the pressure is have these extended walkthroughs and more meeting time with their 2-1-2 preseason practice schedule and training camp practices. It allows them to do practices and then watch film, then make the corrections before the next practice. So they don't get this kind of load of film to have to wade through, but they can kind of practice and then sit down, relax a little bit, watch the film, make their corrections before they go back out on the field. McCarthy commented on the two backup quarterbacks, which I didn't mention in my quarterback analysis. So to go a little more in depth about them, the coach says that they didn't have winning performances, and that is what the most important thing is for him, which I think is exactly right on the money. It's about winning, and they didn't have winning performances. But what he said is they just need time to get in and play. Coach McCarthy said Matt Flynn has definitely closed the gap, those are his words, on Brian Brohm. And however, he said the ratio of snaps for Brian and for Matt Flynn for right now are going to stay the same. So some other notes then from the Thursday practice, these courtesy of Packers.com. Jason Spitz remained in at left guard with the #1 offensive line, and Josh Sitton then at right guard. And of course, Brandon Chiller played at weak side linebacker as A.J. Hawk's replacement with the #1 defense. On the #1 punt coverage team, Jarrett Bush, wide receiver James Jones have been playing outside coverage on the punts. On the kickoffs, Bush is also the gunner on the kickoff team, but the other gunner on the #1 kickoff unit is Tramon Williams. So that gives us a couple names to watch for on the first team punt and kickoff coverage. These are going to be important factors in our win and loss this year. Our special teams are going to really play a part in our win-loss percentage at the end of the season. Another sort of new twist, this again on the defense. The #1 defense for short yardage situations used a 5-man line. This is kind of the opposite of that 4 linebacker and 2 ends kind of 2-4-5 nickel package that we talked about the other day. This is their sort of heavy set, short yardage, goal line kind of run defense situation. Colin Cole, Daniel Muir, Johnny Jolly on the inside, Aaron Campman, and Cullen Jenkins on the ends. Now, last season, they would sometimes switch Cullen Jenkins to the interior on some of those, and then this was more on passing downs and put KGB in. But with Cullen Jenkins, another heavyweight on the end, and it adds up to almost 1,000 pounds of linemen that opposing offenses are going to have to pummel their way through to gain short yardage on the Green Bay Packers. So an exciting little twist. Let's see how that works. I hope Cullen Jenkins can stay healthy because he's good against the run on that right end, and I look forward to seeing that package unveiled against the 49ers. Donald Driver in practice dropped a couple of passes. Actually, it's not something he usually does, but we did see him drop one in the preseason game, and he's dropped a couple in practice. I guess Driver made up for those drops with one really nice grab over the middle during the team's work on a bullet throw from Aaron Rodgers. So if anybody can make up for a bad drop, it's Donald Driver. He knows how to get it done when we need him. So I expect him, of course, as usual, to make those clutch catches for us, gain a lot of yards. Once again, last season, our leading receiver. After all the hype that a lot of the other guys got, Greg Jennings caught all the important passes from Brett Favre, all those record-setting passes, but Double D led the team. That's about it for training camp update for the Thursday night practice. One more other news spotlight I wanted to mention. The Packers have updated their code of conduct. And so this, for you who may be making a game tonight, according to the Packers, the following violations of the code of conduct will not be tolerated. I'm going to go through these. Fighting, taunting, or any action that may harm or endanger others in the stadium. Smoking in locations where smoking is prohibited. Intoxication or other signs of alcohol impairment that result in irresponsible behavior. Abusive or foul language and obscene actions. Failing to follow instructions of stadium personnel, and any other conduct deemed to be beyond the bound of reason for a spectator attending a professional sporting event. This follows on the heels of Roger Goodell's insistence on a fan code of conduct. He set one up for the overall NFL, and the Packers are following suit. They've had this, I believe, in existence for a while, but have in turn updated them to more closely follow the NFL's code of conduct. So with that in mind, I'm just going to say it. Mom, you might as well not even go to the games. It's over. Just stay home and watch on TV so you can have your unruly behavior and uninhibited drunkenness there. So Mom, stay home. Everybody else, follow the rules, and everything will be fine. Looking forward to a game on Saturday against the 49ers. Tonight, the second edition of Two A Day, our 10 o'clock edition. Until then, as always, go Pack.